The state at which the observable properties of a system do not change with time is called the state of equilibrium. And there are two types of equilibrium: physical equilibrium and chemical equilibrium. Physical equilibrium is attained between two phases of any chemical compound. Uh, for example, when you evaporate your water in a closed vessel, after some time, there is an equilibrium condition attained between the vapor phase and the liquid phase. And under the condition of equilibrium, the rate of evaporation is equal to the rate of condensation. So the amount of water present in the vapor phase and amount of water present in the liquid phase remains constant, and there is continuous evaporation and condensation going on, but both the rates are equal. Chemical equilibrium is obtained when a reversible reaction is carried out in a closed vessel, and after some time the state is reached when the rate of forward reaction is equal to the rate of backward reaction. Example we have already seen, Haber's process. In Haber's process, your nitrogen gas reacts with the hydrogen gas to form ammonia. So in this Haber's process, when you start the reaction, initially you only have reactants and no product, but slowly with the time, the amount of ammonia increases. But after some time, there is a state reaches where your amount of nitrogen and hydrogen and ammonia becomes constant. But there is a continuous conversion of your reactant to the product as well as product to the reactants. So under the chemical equilibrium, your rate of forward reaction and backward reaction becomes equal, resulting in the constant concentration of reactant and product. Now see some general characteristic of chemical and physical equilibrium. The very important thing is the equilibrium can only be attained in a closed vessel. When you carry out any reaction in a closed vessel, only then you can obtain the equilibrium condition. Second thing is equilibrium is dynamic in nature. Right, in this example I have told you how your reactants are continuously converted into the products and products are continuously getting converted into the reactants, but the concentration remains constant. So the reaction is going on throughout, so it's dynamic in nature. Now third thing is equilibrium can either be obtained from both sides. Let's say if you have a closed vessel containing nitrogen and hydrogen gas having appropriate condition for the reaction, after some time equilibrium will be attained and you have all three things, both the reactants as well as the product. And in another vessel you have only ammonia under the similar condition. After some time you again have these three things, both the reactants as well as the product. So equilibrium can be attained from both the direction. Fourth, measurable properties are constant. Once the equilibrium is attained, your concentration of both the reactants and your product will remain constant, your temperature will remain constant, your pressure will remain constant, and all the other measurable properties will be constant. Last thing is, what is the effect of catalyst on the equilibrium? Catalyst does not change the equilibrium state. What it changes is the time taken to attain the equilibrium. So what is happening, if you carry out this reaction in the absence of catalyst, it will take longer time to attain the equilibrium. But if you add the catalyst, it will take lesser time to attain the equilibrium. Law of mass action. The rate of chemical reaction is proportional to the product of active masses of reactants raised to the power given by its coefficients as represented in the balanced chemical equation, or you can say the active masses of reactants raised to the stoichiometric coefficients. Let's see, this is the example of a general chemical reactions where A and B are reacting to form C and D, and small alphabets A, B, C, D are stoichiometric coefficients. So we can say rate is directly proportional to the concentration of A raised to the power A into concentration of B raised to the power B. So we can write it down as R is equal to K A raised to the power A B raised to the power B, where K is your rate constant. Now next thing is law of chemical equilibrium. When you take a reaction, the equilibrium constant is equal to the product of concentration of reactants raised to the power of raised to stoichiometric coefficient divided by product of concentration of reactant raised to its stoichiometric coefficients. Now there is one more thing, reaction quotient. I have written reaction quotient, constant reaction quotient equal to the product of concentration of products divided by product of concentration of reactants. Here also I have written the same thing. Now let's see the difference. Reaction quotient is equal to this throughout the reaction, but your equilibrium constant is equal to the same thing only under the equilibrium condition. So you can say when you have attained the equilibrium, under the condition of equilibrium, your reaction quotient becomes constant, and that constant reaction quotient is nothing but equilibrium constant. Characteristics of equilibrium constant. The very first thing is equilibrium constant depends upon the temperature. For a given temperature, it has a fixed value. For example, if you have two different temperature for a same reaction, at 100 temperature, equilibrium constant will have some other value, at 101 it will have some another value, but they will remain constant whenever that particular reaction is carried out under the same temperature pressure conditions. Second thing is K is independent of catalyst. Catalyst will not affect the value of equilibrium constant or initial concentration of reactants or the direction from which equilibrium is attained, as well as the presence of inert material also does not affect the value of equilibrium constant. Third point is if the reaction is reversed, the value of equilibrium constant is also reversed. For example, you have a reaction for Haber's process. In this reaction, your K is equal to concentration of ammonia raised to the power 2 divided by concentration of nitrogen and hydrogen, for hydrogen raised to the power 3. Now if you write this reaction in the reversible direction, your equilibrium constant will become K dash and it will be equal to reciprocal of K, that is 1 by K, and you can write it down as N2 raised to the power 1 and H2 raised to the power 3 divided by concentration of ammonia raised to the power 2. So this is what it says, when the reaction is reversed, the value of K changes to K dash and K dash is equal to 1 by K. Similarly, if you divide the reaction by 2, that means you make this its stoichiometric coefficient half, your equilibrium constant will be equal to K dash equal to under root K. If you multiply it by 2, your K dash will become square of K. When the reaction is written in 2 steps, for example, if you have any reaction which is carried out in 2 steps and in each individual steps have its own equilibrium constant, then the overall equilibrium constant for that particular reaction will be equal to K dash equal to K1 into K2. Last point is the magnitude of equilibrium constants tells us about the relative amount of product formed in that reversible reaction. For example, if you have a equilibrium constant which have a very large value, let's say more than 10 raised to power 3, then the product will predominate. But if you have a equilibrium constant lesser than 10 raised to power minus 3, or you can say very small, in those reactions your reactant will predominate. That means your backward reaction will be favored in this condition. Now there are two types of equilibrium constants, one in term of concentration, other one in term of pressure. So if we take this general reaction, if we write down the equilibrium constant in term of concentration, we write a subscript as C, and we write down the concentrations here and raise them to the power of stoichiometry. And if you have to write down the unit of concentration, equilibrium constant in terms of concentration, it will become mole per liter raised to the power sum of stoichiometric coefficients of your products minus sum of stoichiometric coefficients of your reactants. Similarly, if you have to write down the equilibrium constant in terms of partial pressure, it will become product of partial pressure of your product raised to their stoichiometric powers divided by product of partial pressure of reactants raised to their stoichiometric coefficients. And similarly, unit for the equilibrium constant in terms of pressure will become ATM raised to the power difference of stoichiometric coefficients of your reactants and products. You can also write it down as delta N is equal to C plus D minus A plus B in order to make it shorter. Sorry, this is A plus B. Alright, now comes the relation between Kp and Kc. All of you have studied the ideal gas equation, that is PV is equal to nRT. P is pressure, V is volume, N is number of moles, R is real gas constant, T is temperature. Alright, so at a particular constant temperature, you can write it down as P equal to number of moles divided by volume. This becomes your concentration. Alright, and these two becomes constant at a constant temperature. Real gas constant is always constant, and if you take the temperature constant, these two terms becomes constant. So you can say that your partial pressure at a constant temperature is directly proportional to the concentration when T is constant. Alright, so we are going to exploit this thing to establish a relation between Kp and Kc. So in short, if we have to write it down for this equation, what we will get? Partial pressure of A is equal to concentration of A into real gas constant and temperature. Similarly, you can write it down for the B, C and D. And we will put these values in this equation. Alright. So I have written it here. So our Kp will become equal to concentration of C RT raised to power C. This is a replacement for Pc raised to the power C. Similarly, I have replaced each term for partial pressure by concentration into real gas constant into temperature raised to the stoichiometric coefficient. If we simplify it, what we get? Concentration of C raised to power C, D raised to power D divided by A raised to power A, B raised to power B. So this is nothing but this. So I can write down Kc instead of this bigger term. So what I get? Kp is equal to Kc. RT raised to power delta N. Delta N I have already written here. So this becomes, the relation becomes Kp is equal to Kc RT delta N, where delta N is difference of number of moles of product minus number of moles of reactants. So this is our relation.